Hi, Tim Elliott here. I just want to share a few thoughts on being a responsible business or responsible brand. Now, this is a topic that has really come to the fore recently. I've had over the past couple of years with the increase in wanting to be sustainable and ethically good and purpose-driven brands, the responsibility angle, like the communication and behaviour challenges around being a responsible business and brand have really come to the fore recently. So I just want to share a few thoughts in a quick video that hopefully will get you thinking about how you show up in the world. So when you make purposeful promises as a brand or business, you automatically need to live those values, right? Those values that you have need to become virtues, need to become actions, and be provable that they're true, right? And this comes with responsibility. So responsibility is an outcome of the expectations from those you choose to serve and those who choose you to work with you, to be customers, because you have a purpose-driven brand, because you're making a promise, something, you're putting meaningful messages out in the world, right? So there's an expectation around that will be delivered, that people will, the meaning people attach to you and your offer will be matched through the experience they have that you create. I've only really got time to share one idea in this video about responsibility. So I'm going to explain the power of understanding in being a responsible business, right? Because understanding is the foundation of effectiveness. And as entrepreneurs, as founders, as leaders, you all want to be effective, right? It's a given. First, you need to use a skill, a creative skill called empathy, right? So do the people you serve, this is internally and externally, so colleagues, teams, partners, investors, and externally the customer angle or client angle, whatever you choose to refer to them as. You need to align those people, right? You need to align and understand or generate understanding around your purpose and what your expectations are for those people. So in order to do that, you need to use strategic empathy, right? And I can send you a really good tool called an empathy map if you reach out to me after this and you want to get stuck in to responsible business. So what will happen is you need to get everybody to understand what your purpose is, why it's important to you, why it's important to the people you serve, and how it shows up in their role in your world. Right? So 3 points of understanding, because if everybody has the same meaning attached to you and your offer in context of their role, then this is the pinnacle of communication behavior. This is building a really effective and efficient brand, right? This is being able to hit a home run with the communications and marketing you create, right? Whether as an employee brand or customer facing side. So you really need to look through the lens of responsibility. Right, so there's a tool that we use, right, that imagine you're holding something up to your face, right, and it gives you a different worldview. It gives you a different perspective on the work that you do. This is the mindset that I want you to have. Right? You need to look through 3 lenses today to be a responsible or to build a responsible business. And that is people, planet, and prosperity. Right? Or the 3 Ps. You may have heard of the triple bottom line if you're watching this video already, which is people, planet, and profit. But I've swapped profit out for prosperity because it's more holistic. It's more human-centered. It means true wealth, not just looks good on a spreadsheet. So let me take you through this idea, right? The lens of responsibility. So I'm going to spend the next few minutes just explaining each of the parts that I want you to look through for your business. So the first one is people, right? You need to look through the lens of people, and the ingredients in people are community, culture, and of course, people. Where are you? And ask yourself, where are you now in terms of this? And where do you want to be? Where are you now? How's it going? And where do you want to be? What does community mean to your business? How do you show up? Is it good enough? How's it going? What do you need to change? What do you need to subtract? What do you need to stop doing? What do you need to do more of? What about people? You'll have people around you, partners, advisors, investors, customers. What do they look like? Right, how's that going? Have you got the right people around you? How's your people experience showing up? And then culture. Right, is your culture good? What culture do you want to create if it's early doors for you? Right, people, community, and culture. These aren't in balance for you. You might be super community focused, you might be really people focused, you might be culture driven, right? Like, use these lenses, these tools to build out your version of a responsible business. But a really good mindset, a really good set of questions to ask yourself is, where are you now with these things, and where do you want to be? Right? And what things are you going to do to bridge that gap? Then we've got planet. So planet can show up in many ways. It can show up in your carbon footprint. It can show up in the circularity of your products that you create. It can show up in climate change. It can show up in your local area. It can show up in waste. It can show up in emissions. Like, whatever the planet measurements look like for you, you need to understand whatever the ingredients are. Now, carbon footprint is pretty universal, so you can probably use that one. But where are you now in terms of carbon footprint? How's it going? Where do you want to be? What do you need to do to get to where you want to be? What set of actions or clear next steps do you have to be? What has to be true for you to get where you need to be? And the last, and probably a fundamental thing as entrepreneurs, as business, is prosperity, right? And prosperity, like I said, is a word that I've replaced profit with in the triple bottom line, because the ingredients I like to use in building responsible business is abundance. So this is the growth, right? What does growth look like for your business? Where are you now? Where do you need to be? What do you need to do to get there? Right? And abundance is growth in people, in turnover, in bottom line, in profit. Whatever growth looks like, whatever those dynamic growth factors for your business are, you need to consider them, right? What makes you abundant? What gives you true wealth? And then activity, right? Activity is part of prosperity. What actions are going, what people are going on, like what's happening in your team, what's happening in the investment world, what's happening in your market. Like, what do people talk about when they think about your brand or your product or your solution or your problem or your purpose? Like, what activity is happening? Right, because and is some increasing, if some decreasing? What's the activity you need to amplify out of there? But you need to think big and small, right? Within that, so we've got abundance and activity so far, and the next one is diversity. Right, diversity, obviously, diversity, equity, and inclusion of your team is super important. There are many resources that I'm sure Enterprise Nation has, and you can find through Google and YouTube about the benefits of having a diverse leadership team and team. But also diversity, because we're looking at prosperity, because we're thinking about growth, is new markets or new opportunities or new propositions, new products and services for the existing market, right? How many different revenue streams or value streams can you create as a business? So that's a snapshot of one idea of what it means to be responsible. I'll just do a very short recap just before I leave you. So if you're a purpose-driven brand or you make purpose-driven promises, right, you need to live those values. They need to show up in the work you do, right? And that becomes your responsibility. It becomes your responsibility for your people to show up like that, and for you to be able to communicate about the good work you do. So the stories you tell about what makes your brand meaningful and responsible. You need to have a responsibility to deliver on those promises that are outside usually of the day-to-day business things, activities that you have, right? Because there's been loads of studies that people now expect leaders and brands and founders to have a position, to have an opinion, to have a stance on these challenges that we face as humans. So climate change, for example, diversity, for example, Black Lives Matter, anything like the war in Ukraine, the things that matter, which is why it's a responsibility, right? As founders, as entrepreneurs, you have a responsibility to show up, to make a positive impact, because brands and businesses are meaningful to people on the inside and can be meaningful to the people who you choose to serve, or they should be. But that comes with responsibility. But you can look through the lens of responsibility, of people, planet, and prosperity, to really understand how you can best show up as a responsible business, as a responsible leader. Hope that helps. I know it's a big topic and a short time frame, so please feel free to ask me any questions that you may have. Thank you.